Hey everyone, it's Convos with Kerry tonight. So excited. Convos with Kerry. I'm gonna tag at Chris. Oh, Chris. I don't know why he doesn't show up easily, and I know that I listen. I do. I see him every day on my timeline. There he is. So how is everybody? I'm gonna do my little thing. You know what? Hi, it's Kerry Wilson, your favorite BMC. I'm here to help children, families, and youth who are struggling with challenging behaviors. I help them to reclaim their peace one family at a time. If you are in need of that or you know somebody who is, send them my way. I'm a DM away. And tonight is Convos with Kerry, and Convos with Kerry is a segment that I do on my channel to help for you by you. So to help us to have these tough, hard conversations about things that are happening in our community to help our community to grow. I'm initially building a village with you guys. That's initially what I'm doing with Convos with Kerry. So if you are interested in that and would like to help me build the village, please follow me on Convos with Kerry. I will put up the link when I put up after Convos with Kerry is finished, and you can follow me there, as well as here, which is my business page called S.E.R.F Your Life, which is stop, evaluate, reassess, and follow through with your life. Tonight we have an amazing guest coming on. As I see him here, I'm going to request him to come up, and then we are going to get started. We have an amazing night because Instagram gives me problems all the time. Oh, it worked
Hey,
easily. Wow. Hey,
how you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you?
Good, I'm good, I'm good. Can you
I
hear me
hear a
good?
little echoing in your back.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Hmm, I don't
talk.
know. You can hear me? Mic check, 1, 2.
Okay, good, good. That's better. Or maybe it's
I
me.
sound better? Huh?
Is it me? Do you hear echoing?
No, I don't hear no echoing. Everything is good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So what it is you're going to introduce yourself. You're going to tell us a little bit about yourself, and you're going to tell us one interesting fact about you that nobody may know, or they do know, but only a few people know about you. So let's send out your things. Let's let notify people that we're on and you're on, and then we can get started.
Sure. So,
I don't know if you heard my little spiel, but I am Kerry Wilson, and I'm your favorite behavioral management consultant. So I work with Black families, children, and youth who are struggling with challenging behaviors. So this is what I started on this platform. It's called Convos with Kerry to talk about for us, by us, and topics that are going to help nourish, build a village,
right,
help us learn and from each other and grow. So
right.
that is why I love watching you. You know, me and you have in the DMs our laugh.
Yeah.
So I
No,
was like,
and I
no,
love that, and I appreciate your work, with the community because we need
thank,
that. We need
thank
that
you, thank
compassion
you,
and we need that empathy.
thank
So,
you. I
there's
love
a
it.
lot
I
of stuff
really
going on.
do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. So
That's good. That's good.
okay,
Um,
so,
So yeah, basically a little bit about myself. My name is
yeah,
ChrisDred. Um, I've been working in and out the DOE for maybe about 15 years now. I've done a plethora of different things, but I primarily, you know, base my profession in education. And on social media, I have started with health journey information, metaphysical information. I'm dive deep into the conspiracies. I literally go into every single thing that we could think of because as melanated people, I think it's very important that we have a more vast experience of knowledge and wisdom, outside of the liberal arts curriculum that the United States is under that hasn't really served us initially as well as it should have, So I just, think it's important to touch the top. Like when you look at podcasts from other races, for instance, they're talking about deep political issues. They're talking about, all kind of different spirituality things, spiritual
Oh,
concepts and
you have to backtrack now. You're going into it yet. You're going into conversation. We need
okay,
your
yeah.
one interesting fact about you, and then we'll get into it.
An interesting fact about me, I have a phobia of horses and birds.
I just saw that in your last videos. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my.
yeah. I've been trying to conquer this fear of horses for a long time. Like, so we went to the Poconos recently, so I got up on some horses. You know, I got the experience, and it was nerve wracking. Like to feel this huge live animal underneath you. You know,
Yeah.
it's different. So I'm a city boy, so you know I don't really have those experiences like that. You know, so
So, did you have something traumatic happen as a child with the horse and birds, or is it just something that has been
yeah, with a bird,
manifesting?
definitely with a bird. I was attacked by a bird. My mother friend, when I was younger, she used to go by her friend house, and she had this really large parakeet. You know,
Mm.
ones with the sharp talons and stuff. And it was across the living room, and it was staring at me. And we made eye contact, and it just flew and attacked me, and it cut me like under my eye.
Mm.
And it went for my eye. So that happened when I was really young, and that set trauma with birds from then on. You know, so that's a
Okay.
legit traumatic experience.
And what about the horse? What about the horse? Is it just
They're
because
just
it's such a
massive.
big
No,
animal?
horses is just a size thing. They're massive. Like I don't know if you ever really been next to a horse, you know, like a Clydesdale. Like they're huge. They're monsters.
No.
So, but you know they're beautiful, and these
Yeah.
people have their things trained like dogs. You know what I mean? Like yeah, whistle, they'll run up. You know, slow down if they want. Like it's amazing. So
The
something
only
that
thing
we
that
don't
I've
get taught.
really, the only animal that I remembered riding when I was younger was a donkey. And
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah. Where did
I
you
think
do?
it was a
Where did you do
baby
that?
donkey. I think it was
Oh
a
yeah,
baby donkey.
yeah. Where did you do that at? Out here in New York?
No, no, I grew up, I'm originally from Antigua, from the
Okay.
island. So I came up here when I was younger. So I remember that at least.
Yeah.
Goats and stuff running
Yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
not horses, not horses.
Yeah, shout out to Antigua too, man. Good place.
Yes, yes. So if you are just joining us, we are here with ChrisDred. Chris is telling us a little bit about him. If you missed what his interesting fact is, you have to rewatch it. And if you have any questions, please leave them for the end. Put them in the question box, and we will get to the questions as our conversation picks up. And also, if you have anything in the comments, put them in the comments, and we'll get to them. We definitely have a little bit of a little turn at the end, and I will share with that later, but a
Okay.
little different thing that we're doing for you tonight. So I'll let
Okay,
you
that's
know a little
great.
bit more. It's special
That's,
for you.
oh, that's nice. I like that. I like special things.
So,
That's
okay,
good.
so my first question is definitely, how do you, as a Black father in America, feel about being a Black father in America?
Wow. So
I know I start off big.
yeah, you know, it's so much to expound on something like that. You know, so I come from a family of all women. You know, yeah. So in my immediate family, I should say, you know, it's all women. I'm the only male, and I was the only male for 34 years.
Mm,
Right. I had my son when I was 34, and I had my daughter when I was about 22, 23. So my daughter's 19. She's in college.
okay.
Um, right. And my 8-year-old son, he lives with me full time.
Oh, I didn't even
And
know that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
cool. So
Yeah.
you're a
So
full-time daddy, full-time daddy.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Nice.
in the thick.
Nice.
um, you know, and so I grew up in a very nurturing environment where the women in my family are just crazy about babies. You know, my
Mm.
mother is the most supreme nurturer that I've ever known. Like, you know, and everyone knows her to be that way. Like, she has that reputation. Like, babies love her. People love her because she loved their babies. You know what I'm saying? A Gemini, very sweet, very feminine. My aunt worked in labor and delivery for over 30
Oh,
something years. My grandmother was a professional baby nurse. Even my sister, she went to Claiborne. I assumed she would have, you know, got into nursing and stuff like that, but she veered off, and you know, she's into project management now, into different things. So, you know, I just been around it, and I just grew an affinity for children, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I entered the DOE. But my own personal experiences, I grew up with my daughter. Me and my daughter was extremely close, and I just think coming from generations where we didn't have fathers and our mothers got together and made sure we made it to football practice, never missed a practice, never missed a game. And I think one of the things that really helped me was that my mother didn't really try to substitute being rough with me, because there was no male. I think, and it's something that I learned and I teach to women that I speak to, my homegirls. Men, we're gonna find our way if our father's not around. If our mothers treat us with sheer extreme love, affection, and she's in her hyper feminine state, it will create a mirror and reflect what we need to do in an environment when you have a supreme lover, a supreme nurturer around, right? Too often we, as single parents, try to create things to substitute the other parent for not being there. Sometimes, women have told me in frustration, they, chose to be very aggressive with their sons, discipline them too harshly. Whereas if I believe if you stay and remain hyper feminine, hyper loving, super stern, not a pushover, but somehow stay within your natural means of loving and nurturing your son. And I think that is such an effective way to also create the man inside of us. Because when you're loved well, you're going to do everything as a man in your power to develop strength, right? To protect that love, to protect that thing that's nurturing you. So I think that did a great job for me as a parent, also not having a father, and most of my friends not having a father. And, we're not mad at our dads. We understood growing up in the 80s that, the Section 8 thing that came in and, caused a great detriment to the Nubian family structure. Um, a lot of our fathers from our generation are ex-military. My father was a Vietnam veteran. He entered into the police force. A lot of violence in his life. A lot of violence. The alcoholism was too much, so it took him from me. So
So was he ever,
fortunately that was.
was he ever, he was in your life? Like you do remember
I,
him?
I, I knew him. I knew him. As I got older, like, when I was 16, 17, I would take my mother car at night when she would sleep, and drive out to Queens to see my dad because he lived in Springfield.
Okay.
He have a big beautiful house. I have two sisters and a brother that are older than me. So I try to make the effort into just I'm an Aries. I'm very outgoing, very comfortable with who I am. So I always press forward to make relationships possible. I'm very aggressive in that way. So I wanted to know my dad. I wanted to know my siblings, and I made the effort as strongly as I could. Unfortunately, he succumbed to his illnesses in 2008 when my daughter was 2.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so that was a very unusual time. I don't care whether they there or not, to lose a parent and to know it.
mhm.
It changes you because there was a union that created you, a spark, an energy, an atomic explosion that
Mm.
two people generated together in an intimate moment that created you. And when you lose one of those sparks, you feel it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Even if,
it's very
even if you, do you feel like even if you've never really known or grew up or no, like you still feel a loss? Like, do you like, maybe it's because I'm an Aries as well. So I know for me, it would be the same. But like, what do you think in general? Do you still feel, because there's some people be like, if you didn't raise me, you weren't around, you know
yeah.
what I mean?
But I spent so many years envisioning who he was.
Mm,
My mother telling me, "Damn, you don't even be around your father, but you dance just like him. You stand just like him. How does that happen? You know what I mean? How am I, embodying the mannerisms of a human being whom I'm not even in the vicinity of? However, his
genetic,
genetics is
genetics.
coursing
Yeah.
through my veins. I
Yeah.
am him. You know what I'm saying? Like when I look at my son, I don't separate him and I. I feel like I'm seeing myself in a new realm, so
Oh.
to speak, in a new body, with new parents.
Mm.
He's me, and I think all parents need to do that. It would deeply strengthen the bond that you have with your child to think that they're you for the future. They're the future you.
Yeah.
So you download, all I do is download everything I learn into my son, because if you believe in reincarnation, like some people do, like myself, if I am to come back here, I want into this bloodline. I want to make sure that I leave the information to people that I would want to have that information for my return.
Mm.
How to eat, how to control your nervous system and your emotions as a man or a woman.
Yes.
What type of music to listen to, what type of music not to listen to. All of this culture, I want to involve in teaching my children, and also all the children I encounter, because like I said, I was a phys ed teacher for about 12 years. And when you a specialty teacher, you encounter the entire school. It's not just like you have your home room.
Hmm.
I'm teaching K through 5, or 6th grade through 8th grade, or um, 9th grade to 12th. I have the whole school. So all of the children that I encounter daily, I try to drop those dimes, because they might not have a man that
Yeah.
says things from a metaphysical concept or a spiritual concept, or just a deeply intellectual tango.
Yeah.
A lot of our children don't get to have that, and I always love to see children express themselves.
Yeah.
And I'll get into my LLC and wellness and all of that other stuff that I'm trying to do as
Yeah.
well later on. But ultimately, as a father, I try to instill principles that I've constructed from not having a dad, grabbing different figures off of television. That's what a lot of us young boys from the 80s and 90s had to do. You know, um, Eddie Murphy, he's an Aries, huge part of my comedic personality. Martin Lawrence, another Aries, huge part of my comedic personality. These are juggernauts in comedy, and they shaped my. You graft yourself off of what you're trying to imagine a man is. Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, I swear, I got some Bruce Lee in me. I studied Bruce Lee, his mannerisms, his movements, the philosophy that he left behind. He was a philosopher.
Yeah.
Um, so and also trying to find your identity, because if you don't have that, then you'll have the Sylvester Stallones, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, the Tom Cruise, men who don't look like you, who
Yeah.
this environment continually tries to tell you that they're the superheroes, they're the saviors, right? And
Yeah.
I have to find my own identity. Growing up in Brooklyn, growing up in an era where gangs was starting to really circulate differently from how they was. Gangs was always around, but when I was young, Bloods and Crips and stuff started to come to New York, and it was a volatile time.
Yeah.
You had to,
How
you
did
had to,
you
you had to
how did you stay away from that? How did you not get yourself too caught up to the fact that now you're here and you have two beautiful children and you're doing your thing? How did you stay away from that?
from what, like violence and gang stuff.
From the life, from joining the life or being a part of the life
Yeah,
or
the, because I knew I had a mother that I loved so much and loved me so much that I didn't want to disappoint her. It was like
oh
simply that. Like, yeah, it was like one of those things where, like, every time, as again, an Aries, we're very temperamental. We like to fight. Um, we have a lot of rage that we can either place in a good way and place it very wrongly. Um, I was attracted to it. However, I used to be like, "Yo, if I get in trouble, my mother gonna be pissed. Like, and I don't like her face when she angry." So it was simply like disappointing my mother over and over again. I'm not that type of person. You know
that's
what I mean?
good.
And yeah, when that bond is like that, though, you feel me? Because a lot of my homeboys didn't have a good relationship with it. I always say, you want to know a sociopath. It's one thing to, for a young man to grow up with a volatile relationship with his father, but there's nothing worse in a man who mother abused him and treated him bad.
Yeah.
That's a sociopath waiting to happen. I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
that right now, because that the my son connection. That's what masonry is developed from.
Yeah.
The my son. There's something primordial. about the mother and son connection. You see it in
Yeah.
all the religious texts, or the spiritual there's something very primordial there.
Yeah.
Just like it's something very sacred between father and daughter.
Yeah.
If you miss that, if you miss it, there's a there's an emptiness that can't always be filled. So I've seen that in real time, and I just think that my mother did so well with loving me, and I really just didn't imagine myself as a a career gang member or criminal or whatever that lifestyle brings. Because there's some gang members that grew up with me, and many we lost, but there's some who are such good people, and they turn their life into something really beautiful, even through that. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to all of my homeboys that really dove in it and found love eventually. You know what I'm saying?
So they did
But
the work. So they did the work to pull away from that, and even though they
yeah,
may have been,
absolutely,
but I love.
absolutely.
Let's touch upon that part that you said, that connection. It's building that connection with your child, or with that bond that helps your child to make those decisions on your end. So saying, I don't want to bother my mother. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to. It's that connection. So I really like. I pull on that one. I am a single
Yeah,
mother with 4 boys, and
mhm.
that is what I try to
Good
do,
work,
and I try to do is build
good
that
work.
bond, because yeah, it's me one, and I'm not trying to be their father, because I can't teach them how to be
Excellent.
a man, but I can definitely teach them how to treat me, and to treat
Yes,
women, and to be, good
absolutely,
people overall,
absolutely.
so I definitely love that part that you said. There's one of my boys, 4 big strong boys.
Absolutely. No, yeah, and that's something that we as men, I think, have always acknowledged. I think the lines are blurred now because of podcast culture. But
Yeah,
if you really sit with men in real life, we love our women, we love our mothers, we love our spouses, and our, you know,
yeah.
side people, whatever. You know what I mean? We
And that's
love
what
women.
and that's what I have like, and that's why I don't take in those podcasts so much and
Yeah,
get all in the comments and all in the stuff. I
yeah,
love when you bring it up and I listen and I kind of, put my 2 cents in, but I don't get involved with it because of the fact that I believe it does leave a toxic, thought process for us to go into, because we all have trauma that we have to deal with. We should be dealing
absolutely,
with. And those,
absolutely.
those baiting sort of podcasts, I think, are just not helpful to what you're wanting to do in the long run. So,
No,
I
yeah,
yeah, I
absolutely.
don't. Yeah, I don't get involved with that, but I definitely know that there's people that, love drama and love toxicity and love
Yeah.
those types of things. So there's a
And it's very
community.
profitable nowadays.
I
I've
see
sat and
that.
contemplated, how do people really get paid? Is it ads? But it's very profitable. I was looking at this sociologist talking about podcasts brought in somewhere in the uppers of billions of dollars in
Mm,
2024. And you're saying, wow, something I've been doing on Instagram for, just really talking and express. I've been in the game of self-expression for a very long time, and I can't believe I haven't used it to, I guess change my life professionally. However, I feel, and I've always felt a conflict with that, because I think sharing wisdom is a aspect of love, and I don't think love. I've figured out a way, anything relating to love, to gain to make financial gain from that.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I still see myself as a man that should be working physically.
yeah.
Maybe I'm cursed with the American thing, but I still desire that as well. But I think anytime I get to talk to my people, I don't necessarily feel like I should be paid. I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? I could be,
No, I think you could do both. I think you could definitely
no,
do
and,
both.
and and that's been my challenge, and I'm letting you know, like, as a speaker, I'm a public speaker. I gotta start saying it, and I gotta start, because I do it a lot, but I have to come into the idea that I can do this professionally, and step in it and believe in it to a degree where I could accept the financial growth in it
Yeah.
as well. But I've
And it won't,
struggled
I
with
think,
that because I want to do it for free.
it sounds to me that it sounds like the struggle that is that you don't want to not be yourself, because you can get lost in it when money comes into play,
Exactly.
and you know,
Exactly.
other people are telling you what you should say,
Exactly.
what you shouldn't say, what's not okay, because you are very raw on your page.
I
So
am.
if you were
I am. Yeah. I got a nasty mouth like Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. They raised me. You know what I mean? That's why I don't. I'm like, I don't think I cursed yet, which
no,
is
no,
cool
but
because I
you
don't know
are
what type
very,
of platform you have. But
you're
you know what I'm
very
saying?
expressive, which is nice. You
Okay.
never
Yeah.
cursed yet. That's okay.
Yeah. No,
So
I
I
am very raw, rated R. You know, and and I want to be. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying?
It's not, no, nothing. I love it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is difficult when you know, you don't want to lose yourself. But I would love to, you know, support that you're getting monetized for your stuff, because I feel, you know, maybe try TikTok to start off, you
Yeah.
know, start off there and then see how that progresses. But I definitely feel that you should do your thing,
Yeah.
because you are so funny, and not only funny, but you're insightful. You like
Yeah.
you get us
Thank you.
to think about things and change.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe okay, but in a funny way
I
too. So
appreciate that. I
yeah, I
appreciate
love it. I
that.
do love it. So to talk about a little bit about how you, I know in watching you that your son, you've chosen to put him in an Afrocentric school, and
Yeah.
he goes to an Afrocentric school, which I love,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's just being embodied of his masculinity, as well as his culture, his real, you know,
Yeah.
as everything.
Yeah.
What made you do that, and how did you find that? Is that a new thing that was in New York? Like, is it a new school, or is it something that you have often, or a lot of it?
So
I
the
know
thing.
here it's a struggle. I know here it's
Yeah.
very hard to find those
And
things.
I'm happy you asked me that because I have also surrounded myself with great people. Like I know a lot of doulas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you start to get into that culture of people, part of the Great Awakening, there's many chambers of the Great Awakening. You understand? There's a fitness thing that has been going on. And we could credit it to one of the things social media probably positively influenced people to do is work out. Now, whether or not they're getting a real workout or not, the mere fact that people can go to the gym every day, so much people, there's been a big boom in fitness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I used to think people were crazy for posting like 1,000 workout videos, but no, that's a beautiful thing. You're working out, and we should work out. We should
Yeah.
exercise, and we shouldn't scrutinize it. However, people have sexualized the gym, you know, so you can see the difference. But you know, that's one part of the Great Awakening. Another part is women are getting the information that birth control is damaging my body. So you see a whole bunch of women not on birth control no more. Now,
Yeah.
that can be tricky because, you know, it helped in certain circumstances, but it was causing blood clots. It was causing all kind of issues. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Um, and another part of it was the Dr. Sabi thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was an explosion of food information, which I'm a vegetarian now for about 9 years.
Oh.
Um, I was brought into a lot of this metaphysical information and wisdom through different priestess and different metaphysical speakers that I grew up around,
Mm-hmm.
right? So being in an environment where people used to hang out with Sabi and his wife and stuff like that, you know, I was always familiar with it. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember that eerie documentary that Left Eye had when she passed
I
away
watched that
in
one
that
too.
documentary. And she was in Honduras with Dr.
Yeah.
Sabi at the OSHA. And it was a very eerie documentary, you know, and I said to myself, they they probably offed her because she was bringing forward information that they knew in the future would
Mm-hmm.
change the way we thought. And you see, this is where I get into my metaphysical shit because this is where I believe in, you know, Sophia Stewart, who wrote the book The Third Eye, which they
Mm-hmm.
ended up stealing that work and creating the movie The Matrix and Terminator.
Yes.
James
Yes.
Cameron, right? So, you know, anybody listening, YouTube Sophia Stewart, she'll tell you all about it. She sued, she won. So they stole her work. Now, when, especially looking at movies like The Terminator, John Connor, it is a theory that I have that there's many John Connors, right? JC, Jesus Christ. She explains all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
there can be many different Christ figures that's coming to bring us information. And these people are messing with time and realizing this, and they go back and fix certain things, like take certain people out. I used to think that, like,
Yeah.
they're taking out people like Prince, Michael Jackson, Sabi. These people die so mysteriously, and these are like, Michael Jackson was like a Christ figure. Like, people would follow him anywhere, and
Yeah.
he was fighting such a hard battle against all of this Zionist thing he used to bring up all the time. It was so much that he was telling, and you wondering, why is this happening to all ourselves? So, when that happened with Left Eye, it brought a lot of suspicion. But eventually his work, through all of that, YouTube especially, him going viral, it brought the conversation between alkaline and acidity. When we
Hmm.
were learning the food pyramid, think, milk and all, and meat is protein. And we know now through Dr. Sabi that the highest content of protein is through green leafy vegetables.
Yeah.
The silverback gorilla. We just had a conversation about 100 men versus a gorilla. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? A gorilla is a fruitarian, right? And he would snap you from limb to limb. So what is protein, and
Hmm.
where do we really get it? Dr.
Yeah.
Sabi and his information made us question all of that.
Hmm.
Now, when I started teaching the alkaline versus acidity diet, people understood themselves a lot better. People understood food better and connected to it better. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So that food pyramid that, the Rockefellers, they created the liberal arts and the DOE and all of this stuff, that's not the lies that we learning. They still teaching this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why, a lot of children suffer with eczema and asthma because they're drinking cow's milk. And we
Yeah.
are, as melanated people, all lactose intolerant, all of us.
Hmm.
It is what it is. It will happen. And if you have those types of conditions, it's only going to make it worse because it's the acid that
Yeah.
is created in your body. We're overloaded with mucus. He taught us that mucus is, overloads of mucus. If you go for a mammogram, which is radiation, he taught us that radiation is killing your good cells and everything. And y'all put y'all breasts in there, and if they find anything, any growth, instead of telling you that's hardened mucus, or some cells that are clumped up, and there's other ways of dissolving those things. There's other ways of going about it rather than going for chemo and radiation, where you burning and destroying your body.
Yeah.
There's so much things that he brought forward from just talking about food.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So, right. So it's all of these things I try to incorporate in my lifestyle and how I teach my children. My son is a vegetarian. My
Oh,
daughter has
never,
breads. My
never
son
like
has,
from
no,
birth.
he's never eaten. Yeah,
Oh,
my son is a vegetarian from birth. Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
So how
so
did
in
you
other
get him
words,
into the school?
right. So he's there's a growing movement, as well as parents who are studying what's going on with these vaccines, the childhood vaccines. We can
Hmm.
talk about COVID for 5 hours, but the childhood vaccines. So I'm born in '83.
Yeah.
In '83, from 0 to 18, I was required to have 27 shots from the age
That
of
much?
yeah, from the age of 0 to 18. I was required to have 27 shots. Today, from 0 to 18 in
Yeah.
2025, it is 72 shots on the childhood vaccine.
Wait.
Autism has risen 200% in our community in particular. And I work in the DOE, trust me, it is out of hand and it's getting worse and worse and worse every year. Right? So being a man that has been aware of this and has been studying this, with my daughter, we was kind of going about it normal. But with my son, I was in my 30s, very steeped in my ways and in my wisdom. And fortunately, the young lady who I'm have my son with, um, shout out to you, Shanti. Um, but fortunately, she had the same mentality as me in not wanting to inoculate him. And
Hmm.
it's a tough lifestyle. I'm not gonna lie, because if you live in a state that not only don't really technically supports it, but it's the hub for all fear creation.
Hmm.
Look at New York City during COVID. It was sheer insanity here. Like,
Yeah.
the things that I witnessed every day on a daily basis here was insane. But they have to, LA and New York, we're always being destroyed in every movie. There's always some, doomsday either in New York. So we are like ground zeros for disaster. So the rules here are very hard. And so in 2019, when my son was about 2, before I even put him in school, de Blasio went away and did with religious and medical exemptions in New York for children.
So you couldn't get it?
No, because they knew that they was ushering out this Jabberwocky nonsense about COVID-19 in 2020, and they had to go ahead and make sure they take away um, any ways of us not vaccinating our kids, because they have to make it believable. Because if
Hmm.
our children could get medical and religious exempts, then we was able to do that for our jobs. You couldn't tell us our kids could get it, but we couldn't get it for our jobs. You know what I mean? So that don't make no sense. So they had to make it impossible in every aspect of the word. So
Yeah.
they never brought it back to New York. So when a lot of our children became of school age, especially after COVID, a lot of people was like, I'm not vaccinating my child. So to homeschool your child in New York City is extremely easy.
Hmm.
You literally send the letter of intent to an email, and
Hmm.
they respond with a automatic response saying we got your message, and that's really it. Then you have to send your IHIP. This is pretty much what you intend to teach them as a curriculum, and that's really it. And then I think each semester, like how a child would get a report card, you send them a little progress report, and you tell them what's going on, and that's really it.
So nobody oversees that, like like
No,
visits or to make
totally,
sure that.
totally in the totally in the, and that's the thing. You People are very fear bound, but in New York City, it's not really a big deal. You just got to
But that
follow certain protocol.
that also worries me in a sense because it's a good thing, but then it worries me of the kids that could be getting abused or neglected because, and
Hmm.
the parents are like, "Oh, I'm homeschooling," but
Yeah,
nobody's really paying attention. You know
right.
what I mean?
And in that way, we just can't ignore the fact that evil exists. In the systems where you can do good things, there's bad things that
Yeah,
is just unavoidable. But
totally.
to some
So,
degree, when you homeschool your child and then you got to go back out to work, because I ended up losing everything. I got laid off during COVID. I refused to take the shot. They laid me off. I lost my job. I was little pension, everything. I lost everything. So
oh
I was
God.
actually home for about a year. Now it's one of the worst things to ever happen in my adult life. You know what I'm saying? It changed the course of everything after that. But
Yeah.
I stood 10 toes down. I have my beliefs and my stern opinions on what I knew would happen if we just waited some years. And
Mhm.
they telling us everything now. They didn't told us they put HIV in the vaccine. They didn't told us it's killing people, it's causing clots. Everything we was trying to warn people about, it came to pass. Anyway, that's a whole nother life. But at the end of the day, here we are, and we got to get back out to work. So what I had to do is find a facility, private schools that take children who are in those circumstances. So all the kids pretty much that's in his school are homeschooled under the state. All of the parents think alike.
Oh,
Most of the
so
kids are.
it's considered a homeschool environment. It's not a school.
No, it's a private school, but I'm
Oh,
just saying, all of those kids in his private school are pretty much homeschooled under the state,
okay, okay, okay.
right?
Okay.
Because let's just
And
say you have a child and you wanted to take them to private school, you would just take them to private school, pay that tuition.
yeah.
However, that private school might still ask you to present some form of immunizations.
Hmm.
You understand? Because the state still comes in there, especially people who are getting subsidy from the state to pay for school for their kids, those
Yeah.
child assistance programs and stuff like that. So the state could still come in there and, ask for medical records and stuff like that. When you totally private independent, it isn't the same,
Okay.
so that's why they do it that way. You know what I'm saying? And, they
So how
feed
many how
them.
many kids in the school? So how many kids in the school? And the parents fund everything for the school?
Yeah, we pay everything, and these they cook, it's vegan food.
I see.
And it's deep in culture. It's a beautiful thing for parents who are in the new wave of trying to not only free themselves but give their children a sense of true life and freedom and
Mhm.
a different course of information. You know what I'm saying? Coming
Now
out of the liberal
you have
arts
some
form.
comparison. You have some comparison because I'm sure your daughter didn't get that same environment. So what is your daughter saying and your son saying? Your son only knows this and your daughter knows different. Is she like, "Oh, I like that school, Dad," or like what is the conversation? Is your son
So
enjoying it?
I
He
definitely.
doesn't know any
So
different, but
yeah, my children are 11 years apart. So she's a big sister, big sister.
yeah,
Like So I think she can appreciate what I'm doing, and I think she, looked at it and definitely understand because she know how I am. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
you know
Um,
your dad.
yeah, she knows me and she knows my thinking, and it's something that she totally embraces. However, her growing up, going to public school, and her mom's primarily lived in Bushwick and I'm in Flatbush. So she's been back and forth from Bushwick to Flatbush, but and I'm the Caribbean parent and her mother's the American parent. So she was raised, I would say, slightly different from my son, obviously, because she wasn't raised vegetarian. My son was. Um, when I was a crab leg lover. Now I stay away from all forms of meat, but especially I tell people with shellfish, you got to be very careful because they carry a lot of worms and parasites. But when we was into the crab legs, me and my daughter had some beautiful cultures that we created together. However, me and my son don't experience those things because we eat different. You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference, but both my kids are cancers. They're the most sensitive, sweet, loving people you would ever meet in your life. Couldn't be more blessed, but they're definitely raised a little different. I'll say that culturally,
So
especially.
they're both cancers? Oh, that's
Yeah, yeah. Both summer babies, both cancers, both born in the same hospital, in the same room. Shout out to my aunt because she was working in Brooklyn Hospital, and I was able to get them in the same birthing room and everything. Crazy.
that that is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Both their birthdays fall on the same day every week, every year. Same day a week. They both get the same. So if my daughter's birthday is on a Thursday, my son's birthday will be on a Thursday.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
wow. So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
pretty much raising the same children,
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely.
personality wise,
So and I
except
just look at it as one is the male expression of myself and one is the
what's the
female
female.
expression. Yeah,
And,
absolutely. Because that's what
and
they are.
how do they manage you as a dad? Because you have a big personality. You
Yeah.
seem very strong in your like, your views and your values and stuff. So
Yeah.
how do they manage you as a dad? And
You know.
your son seems okay with being on camera and being a part of your social media. I
Yeah.
don't see your daughter much, but I obviously because she's at school, it sounds
Yeah.
like. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so
My
how do
daughter,
they manage that? That
my daughter's definitely she's more camera shy, and because she's older, she'll tell me all the time, like, yo, like, a lot of my friends follow you, like, they see your content, and I'm like, oh, and she follows me, so that was a thing that, and I always talk to her throughout the years. I'm like, yo, listen, you know me, what I'm saying, I say a lot of crazy shit. I have a lot of scatological humor. I tell, or my content is so vast, so I'm like, just know, if you want to follow, that's your dad. This is who I am. You know what I'm saying? So, it's one of those things where, I think as of now, she's very comfortable with,
so
that. But my son, he's a little more playful in that way. My daughter's very camera shy. She is. She's more shy.
this is
What's
my
going
this
on?
is my little surprise that I'm
Uh,
doing. So I got familiar with you through this wonderful friend of mine named Chef
hi.
Karina, and she is the one that made me get familiar with you. I was watching, and then I started following you, and now I just felt it was only to give homage to the woman who introduced me to this wonderful, wonderful person. For her to come up here and ask her questions and share the
Absolutely, man.
platform.
Yo, y'all can ask me anything y'all want. Trust me.
Listen to me, right? Listen. Hi, Chris. I
Hi.
go in this man's DM every single day because he's on something. And that's what I say every day. You're on something, or because I follow both of his pages. So he has another one that's very conscious, very,
Oh, I
very
don't
that one. You
Conscious,
sent
very,
me that one,
very,
Chris. I
very,
love that one.
Yeah,
very
yeah,
conscious.
yeah.
Also, very make you think. I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Me
Just
too.
Good job.
I'll send it to you. I'll
Good
send it to
job.
you. So I follow him and I send him something every single day. So for her to even invite me to just meet you like this, I'm like, yes, I will come on. So I was just over here, lean up.
No,
I
this
have a
is
question.
beautiful.
I have a question.
Yeah, nah, ask away, man.
I love
I love
it. I
this.
love
Yeah,
it.
I
And
love the
I
build,
just
man.
want to
For real.
say that, yes, definitely. I was like, girl, I'm going to do something different. I don't do this, but I'm doing it for you because I feel it's only, respectful and only great to
Nah,
share
I
the
appreciate
platform
that.
with, especially
Right.
people who are supporting you and love what you're doing. And it looks like
Yeah.
you have a lot of female fans, but we hope some of the males are out there that's taking it
Yo,
on
I
too.
don't even use that word, but the love is real. Like,
Women,
I
women,
love my
women.
people.
The
Yeah,
woman,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Yes,
I love my
woman, right?
people for real. Yo.
Okay.
So, so my question. Okay, so there's four, but I'm only gonna ask two. Can I ask two?
Okay.
Can I
Yeah,
ask two?
go
You
ahead.
you could ask the questions.
Okay,
Ask the
so
questions,
from your
yeah.
perspective, what's
Hmm.
one thing that schools or communities could do better to support the mental health of Black boys and their families in America?
One one thing that I absolutely would love to see more of is more wellness forums in school. Right. Um, Mental health is extremely important, but it corresponds with emotional health.
Mhm.
Right. When you look at series like Soft White Underbelly on YouTube. I don't know if y'all familiar with that, but there's a series on YouTube, Soft White Underbelly, where he's interviewing people on Skid Row in LA and different things like that. Some of the people in the most deplorable situations were people as children who were severely abused, molested, raped, things like that, right? And when you think about how much students are in just one school and the possibility of this happening to any of those children, determines a lot of, you know, the behaviors that we see inside of them. Now, one issue that I have with school is it's not designed for the male anatomy, right? There needs to be more motion and play, especially for the boys, right? They're not striving well in school because the design of school is really wrong. We need more physical engagement for the boys, you know what I'm saying? We need more men in the school. There's still so much more women
Mhm.
than men in the schools, and some schools have none whatsoever. You know, some schools have none whatsoever. You know, and I've worked in schools where I was the only male teacher. You
Wow.
know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the diversity is still is a critical issue. Um, and I'm saying this in general. Today, no cell phones should be allowed in any school. It is destroying. Listen, so I work in a high school, right? Currently,
Mm.
most of the teachers spend most of the time telling the kids to get off their phone.
That's
This
crazy.
is most of the time in every class that I'm in. And it's like, wow, you know, we didn't have these apparatuses that we could walk in school with. There's a lot of issues with school. You know what I'm saying? Like we could have a different live on just the schools. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
But, you know, I'm trying to, you know, just throw a few things out there that I see. You know what I'm saying? Like that is a big issue, a big issue. And we're growing up with the children now who grew up with cell phones existing, period, from the age of 5 and 6. So when you take it from them, they will kill you. No, 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 no,
No,
no, no,
no, don't
no, no,
laugh,
no.
Carrie.
They will kill you. They
They will
killing
kill you.
your parents.
Yes,
They
yes,
effing they teachers
yes.
up in the school because they take their phone. They will kill you. And then you got to ask yourself, why are they doing that? What's on the phone? If they go in my phone, what are they going to find? What videos are they going to find of me? And what am I doing? My internet searches, what am I doing? They will kill you over that phone. I've seen it. Yep. You know what I mean? So school is effed up in America. And when you hear, and you know, I don't know whether or not if you're Democrat or Republican at this point, it don't matter. Is wickedness. in politics. You know what I mean? However, when Trump was talking about dismantling the DOE, oh yeah, people that know about that information know. To dismantle the DOE don't mean all the teachers are going to get fired and everything is going to be in disarray. No, get rid of the system that allowed and okayed people to force our children to wear masks, people to force adults to be inoculated with experiment, people who will take your child if they want to turn their sex and to become transgender, they putting you in jail if you fight against it. That's the DOE. The same DOE that was created by Zionists, sociopaths. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just keeping it real. So at the end of the day, I really thought that if people understood what that was to shut down the DOE, get rid of this demonic ass school system, yo. That ain't did nothing for us ever. So in other words, when we look at schools, the condition of schools right now in general, overall, they're failing because of culture, because of fear of the children, because they scared of the kids, you know, they scared them. You know what I'm saying? So there's a whole bunch of things that we can look at within the schools. But in terms of young men, I just think they need more male support. I think they need more cognitive exercises. I think they need different subject matters. I think they need more
Culture.
culture and affection.
Yes.
There needs to be self-defense courses implemented, sports and activity, deep breathing, meditation, mentor group and individual mentorship. That should be a daily routine in school
Yes.
for the men. Men,
Yeah.
in certain cultures, the men aren't educated with the women. And that's not negative either. You know what I'm saying? That's not negative. Because also we have to understand that our women are designed with specialties that they need enriched. Our men are designed with specialties that we need to work on our hands. Why did they take away the vocational programs in the 70s at the same time when Section 8 and everything was going into effect? So now we have a system where they took away the vocational programs from the schools, where before, this is why our grandfathers and great grandfathers was able to buy those brownstones, because at 18 they was building dynasties from 18 years old. You know what I'm
So
saying? So they took it.
they don't have like parenting and cooking and stuff like that in schools over there anymore?
What I'm saying is the vocational programs in schools at 18, these niggas is coming out as electricians, welders, and plumbers, six-figure jobs today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these engineering jobs, like to be an engineer in a public school, that's a six-figure job. To be the fireman in the public school, you know, I was a custodian. You know, like that's what I was doing. I was working in building service in the DOE when I got laid off during COVID. I was at top pay. I was about to move up, climb that ladder. I should be making six figures now. Unfortunately, I got laid off because I didn't take their job a wacky. You know what I mean? So, you know, I told him kiss my royal ass in the woods. You understand? I told him to kiss my ass, and you know what I mean. I had to pay the piper for that, yo. And you know, this is when everybody's like, "Yeah, nah, I ain't getting it. I ain't getting it." I was the only one in my school. Me and an assistant principal was the only two that got laid off. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and yeah, and I'm gonna just say it publicly. Shout out to all of them people that was working in the medical field, that was holding people down and
Hmm.
helping them keep their job. I'm gonna just say that because
Yeah.
those is heroes. Those is
Yeah.
heroes. You heard? Because a lot of our women did nursing school. It was too hard and it was too expensive for them to be getting laid off to protect their body. So
Yeah.
there was an alternative, and people took it, and I'm happy they took it, and they still got their job. However, I didn't want my name in the system. But you know, these is heroes to me. You know what I'm saying? People who, you know, stuck their neck out to make sure people kept their job and did what they had to do. Um, but you know, I think for our young boys, we got to see the difference between those elder generations and the problems our young men is having now. I hear little 19-year-old girls calling their 19-year-old boyfriends broke. You a broke nigga. How much money you supposed to have? I'm a teen. I'm a kid. You know what I'm saying?
It's
So social
crazy.
media is really jacking us up. You know what I'm saying? The expectation to spend money and to, you know, just to talk to a woman. They posting memes. If it ain't about money, don't talk to me. So what do you think these niggas going to do? They're going to get into fraud and crime.
Yeah.
Right. So you see what you're saying right there? So then this question, you can
There's number
expand
two.
even. Yeah, yeah, this is number two. This is number two. What do you think is the most important conversation you've had with your son about his identity as a black boy in America? And what was that like for you?
Mm, these are great questions. No, for real. I don't, if I'm going to try to pinpoint one conversation, I think my parenting form with my son is very philosophical and stoic. I kiss him 97 times a day. I'm extremely physical affectionate with him, and I'm extremely stern when I need to be, because he is a warrior reincarnated. You understand? You could feel the fire in him and in all young boys. These are reincarnated warriors, and we're not dealing with them properly. They're supposed to be on a warrior program, not in kindergarten and first and second and going up the number. They're supposed to be in warrior program. How to eat, what type of music to listen to, not to listen to, how to work out, how to protect and love your woman, how to be a father, how to be present, how to be there, how to defend, how to have a dream and pursue it, how to never ever think no is for you. You know what I'm saying? How to control your nervous system when you want to kill a man. We're killers. Every man y'all ever sat on top of, love, kiss, that is a killer. That's a sociopathic killer who has love, who can make the decision not to do wrong and harm because he has the emotional balance to say that I know love and I have peace. But all men are designed sociopathic killers if we need to be. And men need to be trained to control that beast. And it should be a continual daily regimen of empathy and compassion and love and consideration for the fact that I have a killer amongst me. And I need to respect him as that. You know what I'm saying? So, because it could turn dark. It can. So I look at my son as this like little wild nigga warrior. Like he could flip, he could like, yeah, and then you just want to kiss him and hold him, but you know, he's strong, like he got a beast in it. And then when he get angry, like he start to cry, you know? And I know that at 8, he got that rage where he angry, but he crying because he want to do wrong and he fighting it, you know what I'm saying? Because he's trained. You know, I trained him. I got him. Like, you know, he not going to do wrong, especially in front of me. He hate to disappoint me. You know what I'm saying? So that's what a dad is. Like, I can't disappoint this nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, he told me this. I got to do it because he know what he talking about. That's it. It ain't no clean that up twice. I said it once. And that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? So this is where we got to be as men. And if we don't train a boy to be like that, he not going to be like that with his boy. And if you don't train that boy to be like, he not going to be like that with that. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
got to stop the shit and then like destroy all of the fuck shit. And then we got to recreate it. And we got to do it now. And unfortunately, you can't be Professor Xavier and do this shit and control all men to do right. You're like this. That's why we got to constantly talk about it. So hopefully spark, ignite these ideas slowly, you know, until it's spread enough, because we have to recreate the culture of the first human man. You know, we fell the furthest away from our higher selves. And we are desperately dreaming a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? Like we are cognitively frozen. We are under a spell. You know, we can't take back our power. We lost the respect of our woman. We hate ourselves. We're murdering ourselves. We're killing our women, killing our children. It's crazy. Something happened to us and we're under the spell. And only very, very, very few melanated men know this and have a belief that they can change it, you know. And when you meet a young black man who has a belief that he can change the world, well, he always appears crazy. Always. You know what I'm saying? He's always like crazy to people. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I believe that if we create a culture where young men can be corky and full of wisdom and that be cool, you know what I'm saying? Because too long the gang member has been the strong black man, you know? And that's just not true. He's the most broken, you know. So I just want to help recreate the identity of the young black man. I'll say that. Did I answer the question too?
You went beyond, but you did, but you went, whoo, it was great. It was great. It was great. It was great. Thank you.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem. No problem. You got more questions?
Do you have
I
another question?
sure do. Sure do. Okay.
Guys, if you have any questions or comments that you want to put, can you put them in the question box or just put them in the comments? I see lots of love coming up. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Lots of hearts coming up. So keep them coming, keep engaging. And it's really nice to see that, you know, a lot of people came out to support you on this conversation. A lot of people are talking too about Black men's mental health. So until Karima gets her next question, do you want to go a little bit into that?
The mental health of black men. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
mental
mean,
health, like how's that? Like, how do you handle that for your Black boy as well as yourself in regards to mental health
oh
and
yeah.
taking care of that?
So for myself, oh man, there's a plethora of things that I do. Music is at the top. You know, I'm into metaphysics, so there's a lot of metaphysical speakers, and Bobby Hemmett is one of them. I don't know if y'all familiar with brother Bobby Hemmett, but he's one of my favorite metaphysical speakers, and you know, he used to break down music as in music is melanin puts a scale, right? And when you think about cymatics, and if you ever see demonstrations where they'll have sand on a speaker and they'll play certain vibrational tones, and all of these gorgeous geometric shapes come into the sand from the vibration of the sound, right? When it's on positive frequencies. But when you put it on negative frequencies, all of a sudden the sound takes on a shape that's very ugly and distorted. Are you familiar with cymatics?
Yeah, I've
Right.
seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So there's demonstrations of this. And so when I listen to music, um, I listen to extremely high frequency music. Rockers, old reggae music is some of the most highest music in terms of frequency that you can ever hear. And I know this because of what it does to babies. Babies love Bob Marley. Humans love Bob Marley. Bob Marley is known, and you go to Alaska, you got a Bob Marley T-shirt. They say Bob Marley, whatever. You know, people know him, right? The bass cadence, the guitar strings, and the frequency of these maroon Jamaicans. That's what they are. These are reincarnated warriors coming back with sound, right? The fight is different now, and that music was placed here for a reason, and it's very fascinating to me that children respond to it. I raise all kids on reggae music. I dance with my children as babies every day to reggae music, and it sedates them, you know. So when you talk about melanin is sound put to scale, you're talking about there's melanin in the air. You know, there's things that happen when we respond, and that's why he used to always say the vinyl records is when you see a record, it's pressed carbon. Carbon and melanin is like the same thing, you know. And to play that record, you used to use a diamond needle. Diamond is also compressed carbon, right? So you had these carbon materials playing music, and he would say, black people, you know, you put on the vinyl record and they'll dance in the living room and they would heal themselves. And over the weekends, they spending their time dancing and loving on each other, healing themselves. So I always believed in that, and I seen that growing up. Reggae playing through my house. Even though, I come from a Trinidadian culture, but Trinidadians love reggae music as well,
We
and
sure
soca,
do.
right? And Beres Hammond, Garnet Silk, Sugar Minot, Dennis Brown. I grew up on that music, and that music it's magical. So music is something that I do. I learned how to breathe um, deeply and do breathing exercises through what we call journeys. When you journey through sacraments, ayahuasca, shrooms, DMT, sassafras. I've done every sacrament you could possibly think of with shamans and journeys and different things like that. And I received a breathing exercise through a message that I got off of one of my spiritual journeys that I was taking with sacraments. So I learned how to breathe deeply. I have different breathing techniques that I utilize. Meditation is a form of breathing is a form of meditation, but meditation, just being still and listening to the multitude of sounds and voices in your head and trying to pinpoint that one that is directly you. You know what I'm saying? Really trying to find your voice. Playing with my children. Oh my God, like that is probably, again, one of the top things too. Just being around my kids, man. I love seeing their faces. I love kissing them. I love them on me. I love when my son is like just climbing on me, just on my head, my shoulders, I just love that. I love being around him and my daughter and, just my family. I love my family and, man, I love a good spliff and a drink. There's nothing like when you come home. I don't know if all this smoke, but if you ever come home from a long day of work and you sit down in your favorite chair and you build in your spliff and you building it with this intent and when you light it and that first breath, oh, it's just a beautiful thing. And I just can't, that's why our culture, you got to create your own culture, yo. Culture is not necessarily something that have to be something public and vast. What is your thing? You know what I'm saying? What is your thing? Make a nice smoothie. You ever made a nice smoothie and you was pleased with it, with the outcome? And you just felt so good for like an hour. You just like, yo, that smoothie was so good, yo. I wish I could have shared it with you. You know what I mean? It's just little things. Like, I get in the kitchen and I do a lot of fascinating shit. Like, I used to make soaps and body butters and just get with yourself. I make watermelon juice for your tortilla. Like it's like a little Viagra. A little watermelon juice with the cucumber, the ginger, and the lemon. You understand? You just blend all of those things, and it's like a little Viagra. You understand? And I don't know if y'all seen when I made tamarind juice. Like, I
Yep.
make mad shit. Like I make
Yep.
all kind of different shit. And that's the time that I like to spend time with myself and like, just kind of get my creative shit rolling and, just try to be by myself a little bit. I love also doing nothing. Like that's a new thing. Like I'm 42 now. So like, I just like, since I turned 40, like I'm fascinated by how much I can't do. Like I just don't, sometimes I don't want to do nothing. Like I just don't want to do nothing. I don't want to have no task. Since I was like 17, 18, I feel like I've been doing shit constantly, just moving. I used to throw big parties. I'm in the club 4 or 5 times a week. I had like 3, 4 weeklies running, working at the same time, being a parent. Like I always felt like I was just doing so much. I used to be flying all over the place, going on vacation all the time. Like that's when social media wasn't big. Now it's like a craze, like everybody flying constantly. But I just felt like my life was just constant pace. Had plenty woman, dealing with all kind of different woman, and you depleting yourself. It is what it is. Every nigga, man. You have plenty girls, and all you're calling one, you're calling the next one, and you're arguing with the two of them, and it's like, give me a break, my nigga. And I'm talking to myself, like, give me a break, and as I'm older, I just like to chill. Like I like to be with my kids, yo. Yeah.
I got one more.
Yeah.
Now, ask questions.
Okay.
Got a little more time. A little more time.
Beyond the big conversations, what are some of the small everyday ways you try to model emotional strength and vulnerability for your son, and why do you think that's important? I see what you do with him, and I think it's beautiful, but not everyone knows, not everyone follows you yet. So
Yeah. So I was so it's funny because I'm on TikTok, but I only use TikTok because of the ability to edit the videos a lot more technically, you know. But I had started a series where I drive a lot. You know, I drive a lot, and I drive my son to school. So we go from Flatbush. I gotta go to Bed-Stuy, and I gotta shoot all the way back to like near the junction where I work from Bed-Stuy every morning. So I spend a lot of time in the car driving, and that's where I make most of my content. My car is like my little living room. It's like my little comedy set. Oh, by the way, I have stage phobia. I'm not a shy person, but to be on the stage elevated makes me want to vomit and to myself. Yeah, and that's that. So I write stand up comedy. What y'all see me do on Instagram is my sketch comedy. I'm just too shy to go on stage. I'm better in front of a camera. I'm better in a living room full of people. But to put me on a stage, it makes me want to faint. I've been dealing with that. I've been trying because my life could change if I could just get over it. You know, but I have that. I have that. I don't know why. But what I was saying, that happens.
hold on,
What I was saying?
I'll say it again.
Hmm?
Beyond the big conversation, what are some of the
Oh
small
yeah, yeah,
everyday?
yeah. Boom. No, that happens. It's ganja. It's ganja. So I was doing a series with my son on getting him because he's a Cancer and they're very, they could be very drawn in or very open. It just depends. Um, I'm trying to get him in a form of exercises where he practices self-expression. I want him to be able to use his words as effectively as I do, but younger.
Mm.
I developed it a lot later. I want him to be a savant with it. Like, my nigga, say what it is that you are saying in your mind. Don't edit. Say it. Say it. Say everything. So I would ask him these questions. What is love? You know, um, you know, um, I would ask him, do you see one of your classmates as a girl you would potentially date, like see yourself dating. I don't know if y'all seen the videos where he was like, my ideal date is taking a girl out to get some french fries, like, and I'm
That one
like,
was
here
great.
I am like, oh, come on, well, you got to do better than fries, my nigga, like, and all the girls are like, I like fries, excuse me, don't be, yeah, I love me some fries. I'm like, if I take you out for some fries, you would talk so much shit about me in the group chat. Come on, let's be serious. But women are so colorful and beautiful like that. It was so good to see women love up on his concept of what love was. And y'all can be like that. Unfortunately, social media and all of this scatel shit going on nowadays, I don't know what's really going on, but this it's a meanness in dating today.
Yeah.
There's a mean thing about it, and that's the thing that I hate. Get what y'all want, ladies, but it's like it's mean. So I'm trying to teach him that as well. You growing up in an era where women are charging y'all to pay them to talk, charging y'all to pay them to spend time. I remember when we were the commodity. If you was a handsome dude that smelled good, all the ladies wanted you. You didn't have to spend nothing. You know what I'm
If you
saying?
dress good, you dress good. We want you. You could
Or
put an
if you were
outfit
smart,
together.
if you had some money, and then when you can't really think about that when you're young because nobody making money when you. But even in when I was in my 20s, no girl was hawking you for your money. They was physically and sexually and mentally attracted to you, and it was
Yeah.
that. That was it. They wasn't you. But again, our women aren't like this. The past decade or a little more, y'all have been placed under a spell. Y'all are not like this. Y'all are the most beautiful thing we know. So y'all are not like this. Y'all was placed under a spell, and I'm charging that to media, propaganda, agendas to create this Sodom and Gomorrah reality, this bastardized reality of culture. They're bastardizing our culture. They're putting demonic entities in the people through the music, through the food. you know, through many faculties of spells that they're casting. You know what I'm saying? And it's definitely the sonic sound of trap music and drill music that has made our young men more violent. It's made our young women more violent, hypersexual. They know what they're doing. Music is a frequency. It controls, it demands, and it can save you as well. It can heal you as well if you use it right. And you know, so all of these things, I'm teaching him the sound to listen to, how to express himself. You know, what do you think love is? You know, what do you? I even asked him, what at 8? Describe what you physically like in a young lady. Tell me if you know how to tell me something like that. You know, I'm your dad, me and you, yo, bro, you don't even know if this is awkward to you. You don't even know how much you're gonna force me into these conversations when you come of age. So I'm preparing you early. I'm trying to give you the spark of the conversation so that you realize that you can engage not only me, but anybody on a level of communication where if I think it, I can say it. You know, if I feel it, I can say it. I want my son to have the sheer ability to express himself and do it with no fear. No fear, you know. I have a tattoo on my arm in Japanese. Express yourself without fear. And I lived by that, you know. I'm like, damn, like, bro, like during COVID, yo, I lost so much friends, yo, because I was one of the only niggas out here screaming, don't get no goddamn vaccine. There's no such thing as COVID. This is what's making y'all sick. This is not what's making y'all sick. This is what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. They're lying about it, and I lost so much people, so much friends, man. And I'm like, you know, if I was afraid to tell and share what I learned, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would hate myself if I like kept my mouth shut about all of these wonderful things that I'm learning, and like it would be such a disservice to me. And you know, and I'm like, everybody has a gift, right? You know, I played the saxophone. I was a little savant with the brass. You know, I played the saxophone. I don't know if y'all familiar with CCC, the big church over there. I played, you know, in their band. I played
Oh,
in
we
my
don't.
high school.
We're
Yeah, I
not in
played in my
America.
high school. I played in my junior high school, you know, and I'm just like, yo, like, I could have kept going with that. You know what I'm saying? I could have been a jazz musician for real, for real. But in my environment, things come into play and things change you. Things knock you off. I was a star football player out here in the Brooklyn Leagues, and I'm patting myself on the back because I was really good, yo. I was a really good wide receiver. I was a really good athlete all my life. And it's just, I didn't have nobody to grab those things and see those things in me and funnel me straight into it. I believe that if I teach my son that being a jack of all trades, like your father, who is good at 100, I'm 70% in like 100 things. I'm 100% in nothing. And I'm like, if you could just be 100, get the 10,000 hour theory, give yourself 10,000 hours on one thing, master it, be it, become it, and use it and watch it change your life. Don't be good at just everything. Like, I know that's an appeal of a man, you know, because we're so talented in so much things. But I mean, as an Aries, I don't know if it's my jittery ways. I don't know if I got ADD or ADHD. I don't. It's one of them shit. I have one of them shit. You know what I mean? But I can't seem to care about mastering something. Once I know I'm good at it, I'm gonna move on. You know, stagnant. Like my mind, man. Like if you keep listen. I wasn't a troubled child, but to keep me still is to kill me. You know what I'm saying? To keep me, and that's the problem with raising boys in single parent homes of just a mother. Some women just don't really like movement like that. Christopher you're moving too much, you're jumping yet. But a man understands. Yo, we watching TV, let that nigga roll.
Mm.
You
I,
understand?
yeah.
Let the boy play now. Let him play. Look, he had to play. We growing up in concrete jungles, in apartments, compartmentalized in boxes and squares. Boys are for spheres and round things. We are not for squares and walls, rectangles and squares. Box us in. It haunts us. And we don't understand that metaphysically and spiritually. what the cube is. That's why our homes look like this. We're boxed in, and it locks us into this thing. And it's very unhealthy for a young male to live in that type of geographic thing, you know? So at the end of the day, some women just aren't good with motion and noise like men are. We understand it, we block it out because we are that. That is me playing. That is not my son playing. That's me playing. And how can I stop me from playing? You know what I'm saying? So
Also, too,
it's
if they didn't get a chance to play themselves, right, growing up, so it's going to be different. But now it's also looking at overstimulation, and people are being more aware of those things in their bodies and those things that's going around them and how they feel around things. So yeah, it is a different transition, but it's also, yeah, like you said, allow the children to be children, because they need that in order for them to grow and flourish and thrive. So I definitely think that. What do you think? We'll leave that because we've gone over, and I thank you so much for going over the time that I've allocated for you, and I appreciate it so much. But I do want to just touch upon this little part. What do you think about the dental parenting dynamic, or I don't know if I want to say fad, but definitely what's going on around with the dental parenting? Because you work in the school. On top
yeah.
of that, you also have that balance. So.
There's nothing beneficial to altering the idea of what discipline can do for a child. There's no sense in it, right? I think what we need to do as parents is heal, so we could develop better ways of getting our children to listen and honor our visions and our culture in the home. The problem is never going to be the child, because the child is being brought up into a reality that we're cultivating. We don't put enough responsibility on ourselves for giving them tools to misbehave, giving them tools to be disobedient. It is us. We are the ones who is creating a reality, right? So if I say to y'all, children are suffering in school in terms of actually learning because they're so much on their phone. Well, who gave them the damn phone? You know, right? That's a mistake. And we are learning that now. All right. There's no sense in blaming each other, but we are learning this. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in sparing the rod. You know, I don't know. Some of these kids need a little pat pat. You know what I mean? You need a little pat pat. You know what I mean? Some of them. But how you do it, right, needs to be regulated. Because again, there's a fine line between abuse and discipline. It is,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
And repetition, and we can be honest. If you ever trained a puppy, it's like training your toddler. Repetition. It works for every baby thing. Anything that's a baby, repetition works, right? And the difference is, especially between a boy and a girl, is the inquisition that women are born with. Boy sees fire, physically stands up to walk over there, to touch the fire. Girl sees fire,
She's
she
alerting
may
everybody.
she may go touch it, right? If it burns her, does the lesson differ from her to the boy? No, because if the shit hurt, neither one of them is gonna want to go near it. But girls are more inquisitive. Daddy, what's that? Daddy, what's that? You know, they're getting into the intellectual basis of it. Boys saw, you could see if you watch kids, you see the boys handling circumstances different from the girls.
Mhm.
And as parents, we have to cultivate those things. So I believe in discipline, but I believe the discipline differs from not only male to female, but the age. I don't think beating your 14-year-old is the same way you're going to beat your 7-year-old. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's an age where it shouldn't even exist no more, because the work should have worked, right? However, that 0 to 7, you know, in any child's psychology and any even spirituality, we talk about 0 to 7, the age of 0 to 7 is so crucial in them downloading what they know life to be, you know, and it's in that aspect of that time frame is where you as a parent have to be so sharp, so dedicated, so disciplined, and very steadfast in what you're trying, the message that you're trying to bring across to your child. You know, because if you lose them after that age 7, you're never gonna get them back. You know, the world can have them now, especially now. Our kids have phones. You know, but men need to also understand that, and especially as men, because we should know this because we were there. Boys respond to discipline differently from girls, right? So, in other words, there's a certain age that all boys go through where they say, "My mother's not gonna hit me after tonight. Enough is enough." Cause think about it, some of y'all, some of these niggas is 12, they're these big hard back men, you know, and they in the street watching people get murdered, robbed, and they come home and you picking up a belt? Come on, nigga. Like, yeah. So I'm bigger than you. Stop playing with me. You know? And that happens in your own brain. Like, you won't really beat me and I'm facing gang shit in the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what is going to stop him from going too far? You know? That love and connection and that respect that's supposed to be instilled in him from 0 to 7. Right? That's the worst time to abuse a child, but the best time to discipline them. Right?
No,
That was deep. That was
Yes,
deep.
that was deep.
no,
That
that
was
was
pocket.
I like deep.
Pocket.
I like deep. I like deep. I like deep. But that's the
That was a
best,
good one.
worst time to abuse a child, but the best time to discipline them. 0 to 7. You gotta get it right. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Gotta get it right. If you don't get it right, you will lose them forever. Even the girls. You know what I'm saying? When that little nanny start to tingle and they in their little, you know, puberty and the sex thing isn't taught to the young lady properly, you
Yeah.
lose them. They get that first little tootie and you know they feeling themselves, you know, they smelling they, you know, you lose them.
Yeah.
it's
Lose
true.
them, you know.
It's true.
So it's very
Yeah.
important, you know, that a lot of liberal white folks, they want to teach they 3-year-old sex education, where to put your mouth and all, you know. But that's too drastic. But the idea, the idea that I'm comfortable enough in myself as an individual to decide when, as me and my culture, I'm going to incorporate conversations about this
Yeah.
act. When is it appropriate? You have to know yourself to know how mature you are to handle that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's not easy to go to a 10-year-old and be like, look, I was looking on your YouTube. I know you're watching things. You understand? So let me explain what's going on in here. You know what I mean? You got to be ready for that. You got to know yourself. You got to know if you the type of person that know how to bring forth that type of conversation
Yeah.
healthy.
And if you're struggling, that's where you come to somebody like me who is here to help you have those hard conversations and help you to maneuver that. Because I think a lot of our families, our Black families, they don't utilize those type of services out there. They want to try and tackle it, and then that's when they cause more harm than good in a sense because it
I
is
agree.
not easy for everybody, and we either do it too late, too soon, or we don't know how to maneuver it. Once you do, like you said, once they start to feel themselves, it is a little bit much harder to, turn
Absolutely.
them around to where you want them to go and lead them and guide them. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming on and giving us
Oh, it
so
was
much
my pleasure, yo,
wise,
for real. And
wise.
we could do a part 2 soon, you know?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, you know.
anytime. Link me, tell me your dates, and we'll get you back on again to have
Yeah,
another
yeah. So
conversation
much
because
to talk about. If any way I could help in the intellectual growth of my people, the
yes,
spiritual growth of my people, I'm willing to do it, you know. So
love
anytime,
it.
it was a pleasure, ladies. I love you both. Thank you dearly for showing me the love. You know what I'm saying? For real. And you know, anytime, y'all. And
Keep
definitely
doing
say this
you.
live because I know a lot of people gonna be asking like, yo, let me see, you know, send me the live, you know. So
Yes,
I
yes,
was
I will. I will. Yeah, I will send it to you, and I will put you tag you as one of the collaborations, so you can have it on your post as
absolutely,
well.
absolutely.
But so,
All
thank you
right,
so
cool,
much,
cool.
Prima. Thank you so much for introducing
Thank
me to him.
you.
Thank you
You're
for coming
welcome.
on, and I appreciate you guys taking your energy and time to do this. It is
Thank you.
for us, by us. We are creating a village of great thinkers and doing and changers, and I thank you guys for being a part of it. Until next time,
Wait,
Convo
wait,
Thank
for
you.
wait.
Carrie. We'll
Chris,
see you
Chris,
again.
Chris. My
Yes.
own is on August 28th, so you got to tune in.
All right, I got you. I got you. Bet.
Okay.
Bet, bet.
All right.
Y'all keep me
Well,
posted though, all right?
thank you. We will.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, guys. Good
Thank you,
You're
night.
welcome.
Chris.
All right, later.